This is the moment we have been waiting for. Ready to get underway, leave the masses behind and head towards the open wilderness. The smell of the pines and the air becomes more crisp. We are heading towards a beautiful part of this world that we're very fortunate to have many days ahead to experience and explore.
We enter into the rugged channels of Rudyard Bay, one of the fingers extending into Alaska's famous Misty Fjords National Monument, one of the largest wilderness areas within Southeast Alaska. This area is famous for the amount of rain charging the waterfalls falling from thousands of feet from these ancient glacially carved fjords.
Everything and everyone is soaking wet, and with that brings beautiful waterfalls, gushing streams, and the life is astounding.
Where else are you going to see this mix of sublime Alaskan wilderness with these huge, huge trees we see here? The Tongass is the biggest temperate rainforest that exists in this world, and no one knows about it. And I'm super passionate about bringing people here so we can continue to protect this place. It is a huge carbon sink that benefits our whole world.
It is quite evident that the wildlife also enjoys the peacefulness and tranquility here. And as the summer months come closer, this area of the world will become a very busy place.
It was very foggy as we were approaching, but as we came closer, the fog cleared up. Hubbard has the longest calving front in North America.
This day of our expedition took us straight into the heart of one of Southeast Alaska's largest wilderness areas, deep into the heart of a glacial environment, one of the characteristic mechanisms that created the entire landscape of Southeast. The icebergs in this fjord are magnificent. The sizes, the shapes, the deep blue color, telling us that this was formed under immense pressures and has remained in the belly of the glacier for a very long time.
As we meandered through the fjord, we could see on either side towering tall mountains with glossed, smooth sides.
Dawes Glacier's recent retreat has exposed a complex web of geology. Shatter marks where the glacier has gouged out the bedrock as it was flowing towards the sea. The face of Dawes Glacier is a 170-foot high wall of ice, broken in sections by moraine debris, dark sections of bedrock that were scraped off of the mountains that this glacier flows through on its journey down from the Stikine ice field. We were able to make it quite close to the calving face to enjoy some of the serenity of the fjord environment, the distant thunder of calving, the graceful heads of curious harbor seals, and the calls of visiting kittiwakes and Arctic terns. The Inian Islands is a wilderness area located at the northernmost entrance to the Inside Passage.
As we come around the island, we see hauled out on a rock a large group of stellar sea lions.
These islands act like strainers with huge amounts of currents flooding through, bringing with it fish and calling in predators for those fish in the form of humpback whales, stellar sea lions, harbor seals, and large amounts of marine birds, including the bald eagles. Basically rivers of water working their way through the islands and reversing direction every 6 hours as the tide changes.
Making all sorts of noise, jumping in and out of the water, feeding on fish, and just having a grand old time. Almost before you see them, you can hear them splashing around. Massive, powerful animals, amazing swimmers, completely at home in these turbulent waters. Because this is such a productive area, the humpbacks really appreciate it as a feeding ground.
Typically when we're looking for humpback whales, you want to scan the surface of the water, and we call these spouts. They're coming up to breathe, and they'll shoot air and water out of their blowhole. That's the easiest way to identify them from a long distance. And usually when they're coming up to breathe like this, they'll take a couple breaths, they'll arch their back, and they'll take a deep dive to go feed. We'll likely see their fluke or their tail, which is always exciting to see.
All is quiet, and then suddenly you just hear this big puff of mist and a big breath of air as the whale comes up and then drops back under again. Gets a few of those in before going and taking a nice deep dive to go feed.
The water here is just so clear, still not filled with all the thick microorganisms that are going to come in the summer, so we're just getting really good looks at the seafloor here.
I'm excited that we're able to all be here together for this experience, and hope that you're able to realize why this place is so important, why it needs to be protected, why we need to care about it. David Attenborough said, "No one will protect what they don't care about, and no one will care about what they've never experienced."
Our respect and appreciation for this beautiful wilderness expands.